Okay. Do you remember when you first met Jesus?
Yes.
How old were you?
I was 5 years old.
You're 5 years old. Wow.
After a lot of sin and crime, at the age of 5, on a Sunday nights, in a little church in Clarkville, Minnesota. I can take you to the exact place. My whole purpose in going that night was I knew I needed to ask the Lord to come into my life, but I didn't have an total understanding, and I figured if you cried, you were good. It was my dad's church. I was a preacher's kid. So there was a lady, Sister Johnson, who used to pray for every missionary at the altar every night, and my goal was to beat her. So cry and beat Grandma Johnson. That's all I wanted to do. At first, there's no crying. I'm thinking every negative thing, bad thing, my grandparents dying, my parents dying. I even went so far, honestly, this is really stupid, but to bite the end of my finger and all I got was blood but no tears. And it was just about then that I just really closed my eyes and just kind of took a sigh and just said, God, I'm sorry. I need you. Forgive me of my sins. And it was right at that moment that it was like an envelope of clouds. I can't describe it, but as a 5-year-old, I just remember clouds coming in and just being right there. And it was just glorious. I mean, it was just incredible. And I don't remember anything else except that until I became aware again of my surroundings. And it was 11:30 at night. And all the board of the church was around me praying for me because the Holy Spirit had really touched me. It was the next Sunday night that I was filled with baptism of the Spirit and called into the ministry by God, and so I stand here today a product of what happened when I was 5 years old.
Wow.
So I believe the generation that are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are the generation of pastors, missionaries, God's people that we need more than anything else, and if we dare relegate them to babysitting, we're missing the mark.
So, my second question has been, if you had to describe your love for Jesus now in terms of a coffee drink or a flavor of ice cream, what would you say? Like, I love Jesus like...
I love Jesus like chocolate chip ice cream.
A little bit of math, not too hard,
okay.
Right? They tell us, this is a shot of my wife and kids, right? They tell us that at least 80% of the population in Sudan is Muslim, right? So if I take myself out of the equation on this picture, we can do a little math, right?
Right.
Okay, so I got, each person is 20%.
Right.
Yeah? Let's say my wife is part of the 20 that knows Jesus.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Where does that leave my kids?
Wow. That leaves them in some pretty tough things. That's 80% of the kids that don't know the Lord. They're without hope. They're without help.
Yeah. I can't live with that.
No.
Right?
Nobody could.
If I could get everybody here to go to their home church and find 20 people that would give up that coffee or that ice cream once a month, I could get to Sudan.
Right.
And we could change that percentage.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But I gotta get people to do that.
Right.
If you knew that by skipping that carton of ice cream,
right.
just once a month, you can have it the other half of the month, but just once a month, would get kids to know Jesus, would you do it?
Yes, yes, undoubtedly. Part of the reason is because I have been to Sudan myself, and I know the need, and the life expectancy of those kids in particular is way lower than even here in the United States, and our chance to get any of those kids is when they're young, because they're not fully ingrained, not only in the Muslim faith, but they're not fully open yet to all the great disaster of war and violence that's happening in that country. There are diseases, there are illnesses that are taking their lives. The expectancy of for a child to get to 2 years old is very, very minimal compared to the United States. I mean, it's really huge there and small here. And so the need is way too big not to do what you're talking about, not to get people to give an extra 10 a month.
Yeah.
That would just totally make life-changing difference in another country. To think that I can give 10 a month that will change a country, to change a generation, to change a life,
Yeah.
that's nothing. I mean, if you think about 10 a month to change a destiny, to change a life, it would be life-changing. Or giving up a coffee, or giving up an ice cream. All that does is just totally, radically move a movement to another level.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Has this been fun?
This has been fun.
All right, good.
Keep going, dude.
All right.